All right, guys, welcome back. We are now continuing on with the motor installation on this Bennche Spire 800 2013 or Heisman Strike or whatever the heck this thing is. I hate these black lines because that is due to my lights and the hertz rates of the shutter on the GoPro, which kind of matches up. We're going to try something different in this video. We're not going to do the time lapse because everybody complains about time-lapse videos, the music. I know the music sucks because most of it's copyrighted, okay? So, sorry about that. So what we're gonna do, I'm not gonna do time-lapse anymore. Y'all just have to sit through a long video. I try to do the best I can for you. I run a business. I don't make much money off these videos at all. I think I make maybe 200 bucks a month from YouTube after like almost 4 years of doing this, 3.5 years. I put this information out trying to help you guys. Again, negative comments, whatever, I really don't care. But again, I do read them and I understand you don't like the time lapse or the music. I see those too and I want to skip them also sometimes. So I'm going to try to refrain from doing that and we're going to try to just run regular full-time videos. It takes hours to go back through and edit and do all the things you need to do if you guys haven't done YouTube. It takes a lot to film it, transfer it, edit it, put all the stuff in you need to put in. Then when you go to upload it, it takes forever to upload to YouTube with the descriptions and any companies you may be working with, build the thumbnails, so on and so forth. Again, I lose money doing these videos because it takes me longer to do stuff. It takes hours to do it, and I might make a couple $100 a month from the 4 or 5 videos I put out every month. Shop rate's $125 an hour. So, you know, 2 and 2 together. But anyways, we'll try something different. I did order one of these new GoPro, well, it's not from GoPro, it's actually from Amazon, but one of these chest mount, neck mount, chest mount things. So we're gonna give you guys more of a POV view of what's going on here. That way you guys can see everything from my angle, so you're not like, I'm not leaning over in front of the job. I'm not, black line, go away. Whatever. So we're gonna try that out, see how it works for this video. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, you get crappy views or crappy angles, whatever. You know, I'll try my best. Now, I did not shoot a rebuild video on this motor. New crank, new pistons, rings, new oil pump. Let's see what else. New spark plugs, new cylinders. Cam chain tensioners were new. We're gonna put new transmission oil in it. New seal. I had to order a different crank case gasket because they're different on the Massimos compared to the Bennche or the Strikes. No big deal there. We already have the new upgraded starter in it. We do have the new battery, the big battery in there still. New IEC motor, new everything. New main bearings, new PTO bearings, rods, so on and so forth. Timing is set. So I do have a video out already on the 800 about a year ago. If you guys want to go back and look, it's an 800 Bennche Spire, 2013 or 10 model or 12 model, whatever. Same motor, full motor teardown, full motor build, real time. You guys can watch that. Time constraints with Race the Series started up this year. Time constraints with me being in the shop, traveling for the Motor America Superbike Series with Ducati again. Just finished up Daytona. We did win Daytona for the 3rd year in a row. That is the first time in 83 years that one rider has won 3 consecutive years in a row. So there is some history there. Congratulations, Josh Herron, on that, and the Celtic HSBK Warhorse Racing Team, all the different names. Economy Lube, Brew Watches, Binky Bros, all those guys that jumped in to help. We appreciate it. So I'm going to throw you on my chest, guys. We're going to carry this motor over here to the UTV. I'm going to set it inside there and we'll start putting this thing back together. So I'm not sure how this is going to work out for you guys. I might be having to move the camera up and down. I'm looking down at my camera every now and then. My mic is right on my neck. Throw some of my gloves on. Now this motor, when it sets in the chassis over there, is actually going to go in this direction. This way it's going to set inside there. I'm going to put it in for the passenger side, I think, just because I feel like it's easier for me to do it that way. So I'm going to go ahead, pick this thing up this way. Hopefully don't smash the camera. We're going to carry it across the shop. I'll get it up here for now. Woo! So it's gonna go down in here. You can see where the motor mounts will set. Transmission mounts go back there. The bolts are already there for that. And the motor mounts are already bolted to the motor. I did have to go through and tighten those up. And my phone's ringing, so give me 1 second here and we'll jump back into this thing. All right, anyways, scam. Let's throw this bolt down here for the transmission. And again, I'm hoping you guys get a decent angle. It may move around a little bit from the chest view here. But anyways, so let's pick this silly motor up. I'm gonna bring it down to down here on this part of the frame rail, and then we'll slowly move it down once I step inside to get it in there. You can see how the differential is pulled back out of the way. I'll show you guys when we put that back together how that goes in. And remember, when you do take your transmission off, it is smarter to drain it before you pull the motor out, because every time I pull it apart I forget that it leaks fluid everywhere. There is a spring that goes in first, then you got a coupler that goes on top of that. Make sure that spring is in there with that coupler, otherwise that coupler won't be pushed out far enough to engage the output shaft of the motor on the transmission. Okay, now there is no bevel gear inside of here. All that is ran from the clutch to the transmission. On the 500s and 700s, you'll have, because the transmission is built into the motor, the bevel gear is, I think it's called bevel gear, is built into on your shaft here, and it has like a pinion style gear. So this one does not. Just make sure you put that spring in before you put the coupler in. That way the two spline gears will meet up with that coupler over the top like this. If not, they'll go like that and they'll just spin freely of one another. That coupler will slide over both of them like this, and then that way it mates up. But anyways, let's go ahead and get this thing installed, because I am just rambling on. And this thing is not freaking light by any means. Let me get the shift cable out of the way, the fuel injection lines out of the way. Woo! This is the worst part when you don't have a hoist. There's that. Okay. All right. Here we go. One more time. If I don't break my back doing this. Come on. How about you just stay up there then? Woo. Okay. Whew. And then again, it is easier if you have a cherry picker to do this with. Then, whoa, that would be coolant on the ground from the coolant line. Whew, about fell on my face. All right, here we go. Back to this side. Ow. Those two are on. I need to get the back of this up. All right. This is, honestly, this is the hardest part of the whole entire thing. I should invest in a cherry picker, but I really don't want to work on UTVs all that much. There we go. That is in. That is in. Check the rear. All right, well, looks like we're in there. Air compressor does kick on. So next, since you guys probably can't see anything, as always, nuts on top of where the motor mounts go. I feel like I smashed my middle finger knuckle. That bolt doesn't feel very good. Let's get this tire and chair out of the way. I'm gonna walk over here and grab my rolling chair. Transmission mounting bolts. I'm having a hell of a day. I need to eat something. Got another customer pulling up right now. All right, sorry guys, customer pulled up. We got a Harley here. I got to do a stator and a rectifier on and all that good stuff. Anyways, let's get back down here if we can. Ow, kneel on a rock. Let me get this out. That down, over, and I gotta see why am I not, why is it not going in? It's being a booger, that's what it's doing. And look, you guys are facing the ground. Come on, baby. All right, let me grab my little bar. Just gonna walk you guys around the shop with me. See if I can't line this thing up a little bit. Motor mounts could be a little funky. All right, let's get all the fuel injection stuff back off from hanging. Come down here. Oh yeah, it's got to be pulled back a little bit. That's the problem. All right, let's see if I can pull it back and get this thing to go in all at the same time. There we go. There we go. Got that bolt in. There should be a nut down here. Trying to figure out an angle for you. There's gonna be a lot of moving around. Got these little bitty guys also to stick in there. Oh, come on, don't go. I would drop it where it goes under. That little guy go right here. Get it started. Probably better with like a head mount or something like that. I don't know. But I ain't wearing a helmet. Nope, ain't happening. Just trying to figure out a good way for you guys to get a good view. I probably could just put the camera on a tripod facing this way so you guys can see what's going on. That might be the best bet for while I install this. But we're gonna run the video with this camera next time, for this time. Let's see, where's my other bolt? Where'd you go? There it is. And this little guy down here also. That little turd bucket ain't wanting to line up. Needs to come up just a smidge. All right, let me grab a pry. Let me grab an actual pry bar. Try to get a little lift on it. Can't get my hand in there. All right. This ain't working. You guys will be walking back and forth to the shop with me a bunch. Let's see. rotary ratchet, an extension, and 8mm swivel. Make sure we're turning the right way. Yep. Let's see if we can do it like this, because my fat hands are having a hell of a time getting in here with the camera and everything. There we go. My Stanley rotary ratchet. Love this thing. All right, get that little guy tight. It's a little 8mm head 6x10. Same thing on this side. We'll get this guy tight. Hear Harley and I hear street bike down the street. All right, those two are tight. I think that's a 15. Let me grab my, man, I'm tired already. Electric, yeah. Let's see, 14, 15. You know, we should already have 12 and stuff over here. Let's see what size this guy is. Could be a 13. There we go. 14 there. I think it's a 13 down there. Excuse me. Bad part is I broke my oh, I don't think y'all want to hear my wife scream about dinner. Oh my God. I completely forgot to put the freaking, oh my God, I meant, you got to put the freaking drive shaft in there, Kyle. Oh man, I'm an idiot. I got to unbolt the motor and slide it back. Mother of Jesus. Oh, I forgot. You got to put the front drive shaft in. That's what I get for doing this. All right, I took you off my chest because I'm a dummy, like I said, and forgot to put it on the front drive shaft. So anyways, in order to do that, we all know we got to do a little something here. Spin that guy just a little bit so it eventually lines up. You can either slide it forward or backwards or try to hold it up like I'm doing. And it's being a pain in the butt right now, not wanting to go together. Usually they're not too bad. Come on, baby. This thing is being a pain now. There we go. All right. All right, so we got the motor tight down in there. I didn't show me tightening the bolts the next day anyways. A lot of guys have been asking me, how do you get the motor out? Well, if you look at the rear diff here, you can see that it's unbolted from this plate right back here. Okay, there's 4 bolts that hold that in. I take the tires off and you can go ahead and just slide that back and out. Same thing with putting it together. You just put it there, you line it back up with the 4 holes. Nice and try to get it nice and square as possible. That looks pretty close. We'll have to adjust it a little bit as we put the bolts back in. And then we just go ahead and drop the bolts back through the top and put the nuts on the bottom. That's how simple it is pulling this thing rear end out. Again, I take the wheels off just to give myself a little more space. And all you gotta do is unbolt these 4 bolts, pick the rear end up and slide it back. And then once you unbolt the transmission and the 4 motor mounts up front, or the 4 nuts on the motor mount, you can slide it back off of that front drive shaft and lift it out. I do recommend taking all the clutches off and leaving them off before you put it back together. So next step is back here, drop the 4 bolts in, and then go ahead and tighten it all down, and we'll start putting the other parts back on for the gear shifter and all that other good stuff. And the clutch will be one of the last things that goes on this. I want to make sure this thing fires up and runs without any issues before I go ahead and put all that clutch housing and everything back in. All right, guys, I got you back on my neck chest mount. Hopefully the view's going to be good here. I'm not 100% sure if it's going to be the greatest, but we'll try it out. Again, things might be off to the side. I might be working, the camera might be here, and I might be working here just because the camera's in the center of my chest. So again, we have the rear differential bolted back in. I don't remember if I told you or not, I did take the cage off the back right there that's on the, for like the bed. That way you have more access, you can reach in here, it's easier to get things done. Right now I'm just gonna go ahead and start putting the shift mechanisms back in, the tower for the shift. I can't even talk. I'm losing my voice really bad. Still, all that's from screaming in Daytona a week or so ago. That's gonna be a 13. So I'm just gonna run through this and we'll just let her go, and I'll talk, and what I say is what I say. If I don't say anything, sorry, just you can follow along. And this is a little time consuming to do. Granted, this whole entire guy is completely taken apart for one. So that doesn't help the situation at all. And then I'll be using my, electric ratchet because my gun is broke. It's probably a 10. And this thing torques up to 70 foot-pounds, so you got to be careful when running these things in. Of course, now I can't even get the darn thing to do what I need to do. There we go. I want it to come up one more click. There we go. And we can put this nut back on. Oh, there it is. Like, what did I do with my tin? So that's on. Since we're still back here, we can grab our lines and we could toss them back on. I didn't like that hose clamp. I think I'm going to probably change that out. Not a fan of that style of hose clamp, but we'll see. We'll see if it fits on there all right. Yeah, I'm gonna change that out. It's smashed on there way too much already. It's not letting me push on the transmission cooler lines. Again, that's a transmission oil cooler line. All right, let's put this one on the bottom. Get that one on there first. Sorry, my daughter came out to say hi. But anyways, see if we can't get in here to get this hose clamp back on. I don't like the direction that one's facing either. Let's go that way. All right, there's one. Next one is actually a flathead. Where did I stick my flathead at? I grabbed it. Tell you what, man, I'm gonna lose my mind. Oh, right here above me. Man. Tighten this one up if I can get it in there. Probably should have put, you know what, I'm gonna put that one like this. Out here where it's accessible. Flip it up. I mean, I don't know if you guys can even see that with this view, but bring it out here a little bit and we'll start tightening this thing down. Get my finger out. All right, there we go. Transmission cooler lines are in. No problems there. Let's see, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the connectors back here. We can reconnect those. A lot of this is for your gear position sensor, reverse sensor, all that. We'll check the lines while we're back there. This is all the rear tail lights and brake light stuff. We'll have to remember how all that goes. I think that might actually go through here like this and up along the side instead of up through. I don't want it near the muffler. We'll get that out of the way. I will zip tie a lot of this stuff back up and black tape it all back up again. So it's nice and tight. I'm not gonna do all that on camera. We'll do that. We'll make sure that's pinch closed. And then we got our coolant lines over here. See our coolant line maybe. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but that's one of them. We'll let it pour onto the ground. There's that one. And that. And then my flathead screwdriver's down here again. I'm sure these have been replaced by somebody at one point in time, but I wish they were all Phillips. I like Phillips better. Again, I doubt you guys can see what the heck I'm doing over here. just by looking down at the angle of the camera. Just tighten up the hose clamp on this line. The water, this one goes to the water pump. We still got to put coolant in it though. We're not worried about that now. We want to get everything in here secure and tight. There we go. That's there. Let's see what else we got going on here. O2, all that. Let's go ahead and run the shifter and stuff back to where it belongs. That will go right here. We'll set that there, and then we'll go ahead and look at all the intake stuff. Make sure it's not all wrapped up and out of whack, and we can set that back up here like so. This will go under. I just lost a bolt, another bolt for the intake. This will sit in here just like this. Let me grab those 2 bolts that fell. We'll hand tighten those for right now, just so it's kind of up there. There's 1 bolt. Maybe it's just a 1 bolt that fell. This is that new intake with new O-rings. That's not long enough. That's not the right one. Let's see. I thought I heard 2 fall to the ground. Thought I heard 2 fall to the ground. Let's take another look. I'm not seeing it underneath here. Huh. Well. Get that out of the way. I know that's not it, but let's grab my rotary ratchet, 10mm swivel. We'll go ahead and get these semi-tightened down. I'm not gonna go all the way. I don't have that other bolt in there. I want to make sure it lines up perfectly. I'm going to have to kind of, let me scour around for that other bolt. And we'll jump back in. All right, it's actually sitting down here on the motor rail, so we'll put that in and we'll tighten all these down. And then we'll put the final transmission mount in. Don't need these He-Man tight, just nice and snug. They do have an O-ring again, like I said before. There's that. All right, so the next thing, let's go ahead and get this radiator hoses off of the emergency brake line. We could go ahead and probably just put those on. That one will go all the way through. This one will go on. I don't like that direction. I want it this way. I like that better. Right there. And the other one will come on the other side. Onto the other one. Go back and grab my flathead screwdriver. This one's a little tight. Let's loosen it up a hair. Get that radiator hose all the way on there. And we'll tighten that down. Probably could use an 8mm socket on this one also. But I'll just use my flathead screwdriver. There's that one. That's cylinder number 1. And then we'll go ahead and hit this one up here. All right. That'll run across into here to another switch. This will run, stator plug will run through here, down the pickup sensor here. Here's your stator. Let's see, I think this is actual for the fuel pump in itself. I don't remember if this is pickup or not. I thought the pickup was different, but we'll plug it in and see what happens. Get that rubber deal back in. There's that. These will be rerouted, of course. Also, to get out of the way of the clutch. Oh, here's the fuel pump one. This is the one. This is a fuel pump right here. That's the fuel pump one I was looking for. That goes to the fuel pump, splits off, and runs down and over. But anyways, again, I can't remember if that was a pickup there or not. We do have all this that has to come back this way. All this stuff here. That's ignition coil for number 2. And I just dropped my microphone. So all this junk, believe it or not, runs. That should be fuel pump. Oh, that's your pickup. That's your pickup for your ignition. This is fuel pump. That's right, that one's gray. So we got green and black. Green, yellow stripe, and black there. And that would come through here with all this other stuff. That runs in through here, like so. Along with that for number 2. Some of this will be also for the throttle body. Sorry guys, I'm not 100% with it today. I'm just not feeling 1,000,000%. We can put that in that coil. And we'll work on all that stuff on the other side. Fuel tank's gonna have to be slid back in. And then we won't bolt it down, but it'll be slid back in. Fuel tank will be slid back in so we can start the unit up, and then we'll have to move it again to get all the clutch stuff in. Again, let's go ahead and that's fuel pump, ignition coil. Here is your next mount for the transmission. Screw these out, those out. And I gotta remember that one up and over. Did it go through? Let's get this out here. I'm gonna bring that. Should have went like this. That will go down. These two will run from the back into here. There. And then I have this bolt here. That'll go through right once I get it lined up there, and then the nut goes on the other side, and we'll tighten that down. I just have to find, I have to find the nut now. It's been kicked around here somewhere. Down here we still have exhaust stuff and for the bed and all that. I guess I can run these 2 10s in the back tight, and I'm not worried about the, what is that? Are those 10s? Is that a 10? Yeah, that's a 10. I can use this. A lot of times I'll just use like my gun or something like that on this, but yeah, I can't even get in there with that. So let's go ahead and switch over to the rotary ratchet. Not the rotary ratchet, but over to my electric ratchet. Grab a wrench, make sure they're tight. 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 Now there is a torque spec for those things. I'm not gonna look it up. They're nice and tight. I'll find the nut for this here shortly. It should be down here somewhere, I think. I'll have to double check. I might have moved it. So let's see what else we got going on. That's tight. The shifting mechanism, we can put that in. We have these bolts here. There's that one. Front. That's for the starter. There's that. There should be, there it is, one more here. Get that started. And then I'll grab my 10 millimeter ratcheting wrench. I remember where I put anything, and we'll go ahead and run all this stuff down. I still have to pick up that longer bolt for the crankcase. Haven't done that yet, but just trying to get everything in here mounted. And I'm not too worried about it at the moment per se. There's that. I will have to black tape up some of the wire harness again. That is, I took all that apart chasing all the electrical stuff from the first 2 parts of this, 3 parts of this series or whatever it was. All right, that's all nice and tight. Everything feels like it's shifting like it should. Reverse, neutral, high, low, high, neutral, reverse. That feels good. All right, so that feels like everything is shifting right there. Fuel pump stuff here. That'll be down underneath through all this stuff. I'm gonna go on top of that. We'll flip this up here. I guess I could slide in the gas tank for right now, since it's gonna have to be hooked up regardless to run this thing. Now, like I said before, I'm not going to bolt it down. We're just getting it preset for everything it needs. We're going to take this down underneath. That's return. And this is fuel out. Tuck that down in here. We will put this hose clamp back onto the fuel filter real quick. I honestly did not take that off, but we'll run it back up. I hate these hose clamps. Golly, I hate these style hose clamps. Because once you pinch them down and you screw it all up, they just don't want to, you gotta take them completely apart to get them to open back up, but whatever. And if it may not even be the right size for this thing because, yep, that won't even fit anyway, so we'll have to get a different hose clamp for that. So we'll just tuck that in here for now, put 2 hose clamps on that later. Got that out of the way, that out of the way. So let's see what else we got here. That is ignition coil, which I'm gonna move that. I don't like the way it's routed. That's gonna go under the emergency brake cable. There we go. Under that, up and over, and on number 2, or number 1, I should say, depending on what direction you're looking at it from. Throw this back together real quick. Just kind of taking a gander around, seeing what else I can do. I still gotta get the bolt for that, or nut for that. Not worried about the tail light at the moment. Our goal here is to make sure this thing runs. That's our goal. So that's hooked up. That would be, here's the weird part. So they call that cylinder number 1, number 2, but when you do the injectors, this is gonna be cylinder number 2. And then, where is my numero uno? That's a fuel pump. I don't like things all tangled up here. Number 1, number 2, okay? It's really weird. They consider that number 1 and that number 2, but this is actually number 1 cylinder, that's number 2 cylinder. Grab our pickup coil, TPS. IAC motor. IAC motor, grab the right one this time. There we go. This one is going to be for the map sensor. And then the rest of the fuel pump. And this is for the temp sensor. There's that. And this will be for the engine temperature sensor. That comes off of the thermostat housing. There's that. And this down here is the connector for the OBD2. Number rear O2 sensor. Let me hook up the battery charger again since I knocked it off. Okay, let's run it down through here, out of the way of everything. There. Okay, let's see what else. That's hooked up. We need a nut for the transmission upper mount. We can put, now I'm gonna pull the plugs out and the spark plug caps off once I add oil to this. So once I add oil to it and transmission fluid and coolant, that way I can rotate it over. Of course I'll unhook the fuel pump also, but that way I can rotate it over, get some oil pressure building without any heat going into the motor. Let's see, what's the next thing I need to do here? That nut. And then this will be the breather, the crankcase breather hose. This will run back to the air box. Okay, we'll set that over there for now. Oh, I need to hook up the emergency brake again since it's done. Oh man, I ran the throttle cable on the wrong side of that mount. Oh, that's okay. I can pop off the throttle body, bring it through here. Let's see. Oh, that's why the emergency brake's pulled up. I was wondering why the cable was so short. I was like, what the heck? Oh, I have to break that loose from up here. And of course, could have did that. I didn't realize it was up when I went to put it on. Let's see. There's a wrench in my pocket. What wrench is that? That's a 13. I think that's what I'm looking for. I think that's what I'm looking for anyways. Nope, looks to be a 12. There we go, I got it loose. There we go. All right. Emergency brake cable. Maybe. Holy Toledo's. There we go. All right. Grab a wrench, a 12, 13, we'll tighten that up. Now I told you guys I absolutely hate working on UTVs. You wouldn't think with all the videos I have on them, but man, I don't like working on these things. I really, really don't. I'm a motorcycle guy. I'm a happy motorcycle guy. All right, there's all that junk. That's connected. I may run this actually over the top like that. Fuel pump's hooked up, that's hooked up. That shifter, that's all hooked up. That'll maybe be zip tied up. I'm not worried about that right now. So the next step here, let's go on and throw on that exhaust, it looks like. The exhaust is probably gonna go underneath all this junk here, and I have it on the shelf over here. All right, let's see. Should go like this. I'm pretty sure. All right. There's that. We'll get those lined up here. And I'll grab the nuts for that, which are right here. And then there's the bolt, and there's the bolt. And then the other nuts up front. So, nut for the exhaust. And this one. There's that and that. This will be the O2 sensor. And that will be, we'll zip tie that up out of the way over here. OBD2, this will be zip tied up out of the way over here like this also. I'll go ahead and grab the front exhaust. And it'll be one nut and the stud. You guys probably can't see it. Get you up as high as I can here. Going on with the stud. Till it touches. All the springs for the exhaust. That's for the clutch housing and the transmission housing. All those I need to find. I'm gonna take a look around, find the other nut for the exhaust, find the nut for the transmission mount. I'm gonna relocate the throttle cable, run it across the top so it's not down here near the emergency brake or anything. I want to keep it up here out of the way, keep it up here out of the way. I keep turning sideways, and then we'll stick some springs on the exhaust, tighten that all up. Then we should be able to go ahead and add oil to the transmission right here, oil to the motor, and then go ahead and fill the coolant up and bleed it out through the 2 bleeders here. Let's turn this thing over and see if it fires off and how it sounds. So I'm gonna look for those nuts off of camera, figure out where those are at, and then we'll jump into the rest of this. All right, guys, so I got the nut. I had kicked it over there somewhere, kind of by that thing, so I got it tightened up. I got this piece on. The exhaust is on and tight. All the springs are on. Throttle body has been rerouted. I'll have to check the free play in the cable, which I'm gonna loosen that up a little bit. Let me just see what it's like right now. There's a lot of free play in there. There we go, that'll work. I'll tighten back that back down with a 10. A little bit of bump of the foot, doesn't move. We're good there. I'm gonna go ahead and fill it up with 2 quarts of 1040. And the transmission, I'm gonna run a 75-140 fully synthetic. So 2 quarts into here, and then I think it's a quart or something like that roughly in the transmission. I'm gonna run a 75-140, and we need to let it run and get hot and let it circulate and double check that. Again, once I get the oil in, I'm going to pull the plugs out, fuel pump off, and we're gonna turn this thing over and let it build oil pressure by itself. And then we'll go ahead and fire it up and listen to see how this thing runs. All right, guys, so it's been a couple days since I filmed the last part of me installing this. Let's talk about what I found and what some of the issue was, okay? So basically, when I put coolant in here, it was leaking, and I couldn't figure out for the life of me. I'm like, why is it leaking? I got to looking, and it was leaking down here at the base gasket, all right? It was down here at the base gasket leaking. And I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. And then also, the stator cover was leaking down at the bottom. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So I tried to check the torque on all the head bolts. The head bolts were torqued down fine. So I had to take the cylinder back off, took the piston out, and then I went down to Lowe's and picked up a, it's just a sanding block, surfacing stone for tile and stuff like that. So I wanted the most level thing I could get, and I put that on top of, because that's a 80 and 90 grit or something like that, and I used oil on it, and I went and I checked it, and it was so far off. The surface was so far off because somebody got in there with that gasket eraser and just rounded it off. So I got in there and did this for a while, got it really nice and smooth. Then I went back through it and finished it up with some 1500 grit sandpaper on here also. Now it seals. The side case, the stator cover, if I could find the spring. I don't know where it went to. But anyways, I had to go in there and I had to helicoil a couple of the bolts. All the bolts in the side case were wrong. Thank goodness I had another side case here with the proper bolts. Actually from when I took the other one part of Jim's, that he let me keep some stuff for. So I have all that. Used the proper bolts on that. Helicoiled a couple bolts there. Now it's holding oil. It's not leaking. I haven't seen it leak. No coolant's leaking that I'm aware of right now. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go ahead and just turn it over and let it build some oil pressure since we haven't done anything. Fuel pump is unhooked. Spark plugs are out. Exhaust is back on. So let's go ahead and let me move this out of the way here. And let's go ahead and I'll pull the emergency brake up, turn the key on. No fuel pump, nothing like that. We're fine with that, no big deal. And we're just rotating this thing to make sure we get good oil pressure, get some oil moving through the system. And I did put oil in the cylinders, on the pistons and all that stuff when I did build this thing. I just want to make sure everything gets oil. All right, we're gonna go ahead and reinstall the spark plugs, put the spark plug caps on it. I'm going to pull out the bolt I have in the primary over here in the clutch side. I was using that to turn the motor over when I was doing this cylinder and retiming it. Pull that out and we'll fire this thing up for the first. All right, spark plugs are in. I'm gonna double check oil leak. Still nice and dry down there. You guys can't see it underneath there. It was leaking underneath. What I did, I smashed the spring for oil pressure release and it was holding itself out and it wasn't sealing. I was confused and I got to look and I had smashed the edge of the spring. Had another one here from the other motor. Put that in there, oil pressure release spring. Everything else was hooked up. I don't remember if it had a connector there or not. I honestly don't remember. But let's go ahead and turn this key. Fuel pump. I always get nervous on these things. Let's fire it. Let's turn this thing over and see what happens. Sounds good. Nice and quiet. Idling beautifully. Let's check the coolant. I did forget to take that bolt out. Let me take that bolt out of the primary. Let's see, it's a 19 millimeter. Where's my 19? It looks like a 19. It's idling really well. It's quiet. Well, help if I put it the right way. That's taking a lot longer than I thought it was going to take. Good Lord. There we go. All right. Let's put this back up here somewhere. Crankcase vent. All right, cool. Got that bolt off. Let's put it back over here. Let's fire this thing up again. It's really, really quiet. Really quiet. So key back on. That could just be adjustments I need to do here. That's weird. There we go. Oh man, are we gonna fight the good fight with this thing? Is this the same problem Sean was having? Let's try a little gas because it was just idling beautifully a second ago. There we go. or not. Of course, it's going to smoke a little bit because all the oil in there. That sounds really good. Motor's nice and quiet. Exhaust, of course, is going to smoke like I said before. Plenty of oil in this thing. Exhaust is quiet. I'm really happy with that. We're going to let it idle. We're going to let it idle, warm up, heat cycle a few times. We'll start throwing this thing back together and take it for a test ride. So it's going to be a little bit for that, but we do have it fired back up and ready to rock and roll. So I'm happy about that. So we are going to go ahead and start the reassembly on this. This is a 13 Hyson Strike or Bennche Spire or whatever the hell this thing's supposed to be, one of those two things. But I'm going to let this thing run for a while off camera, let it get nice and warm. I'm going to double check oil on the top end to make sure it's all oiling. I'll probably just pull this valve cover off and make sure we got oil up there, and then go ahead and continue to let this thing run. All right, so we're having some issues. It's not oiling. Okay, that's why I let it run for a little bit. It's not oiling. Check the top end. There is no oil. But take you guys off this chest mount real quick, if it lets me. But look down here where the oil filter goes. That's not oil. That's coolant. So I have a pretty good idea of why that is getting coolant in it. Here's my hypothesis, is that this PTO cover side here, it's not sealing properly because there's coolant reservoirs up here. I will have to look at the reservoirs. Coolant goes in up here. This is your crankcase breather. I have to look at the diagram to see where the lubrication comes from as far as the path it goes and why it's getting coolant in there. It's because it's really odd. It's got to be leaking past the seal in here. Like I said, this case I've been having issues with because somebody got in here, got grinder happy with the freaking gasket eraser and screwed up a lot of these surfaces. Now I've been trying to resurface all this stuff off camera, and I thought I had everything pretty level. So I'm gonna have to drain the coolant again, drain the oil again, because I did it like 3 times working on the other side. Pull this PTO side off after I pull the tank back forward and see if that's where I'm getting my coolant leak from. So I'm gonna look at the diagram, follow the lubrication system, figure out what the hell is going on, because I have never had this happen before one of these, and I'm pretty sure it's because somebody got a little carried away with that gasket eraser and screwed up those surfaces. So, yay. More problems, more issues with something that was rebuilt, blown up. I'm rebuilding it and dealing with all the aftermath. What a pain in my ass. This is a pain in my ass. That is for damn sure. Bums me out, all the crap I have to do to this thing. I know Jim's not happy. I talked to him the other day. He's pretty ticked off at the whole situation. Doesn't blame me for any of it. I was trying to help him out. But we're gonna have to jump back in and drain the oil, drain the coolant, so I can figure out what the hell is going on with this damn thing. I was pumped, fired up, idled great, wanted to just make sure it's oiling, and I'm glad I checked, because it's not oiling for some reason. It's got all the proper gears in it, all that's there, but I'm gonna pull that side off and we'll figure out what's going on. All right, I have all the nuts and bolts out of this thing, so let's see what's going on behind. Well, I didn't get this one all the way out. Pull that one all the way out. Let's see what's going on behind door number 1 here. So we're getting coolant. There goes the. We're getting coolant into the oil filter, which goes through here. So it's got to be leaking from here. This is probably going to drain some coolant and some oil out. I can already see it dripping down there. Let me grab a rag. from here. Yep, I see oil running out onto the floor, cooling onto the floor already. I know I'm doing this for my chest mount again, just giving us, God dang it, the good old college try here to see how this works out. And we're not pumping oil either, so. Did I miss a bolt? Nope, nope, nope. There we go. Air oil separator. There. I don't know if that pushed out or not exactly sure if that pushed out or wasn't riding on there correctly. That should ride on all three of those. Now I can see a little bit of coolant down here in the bottom. So to me, that's telling me that this was leaking a little bit. It looks pretty smooth there. I'm kind of sitting back taking a look. Whoop, I'm gonna lose my light here. That's interesting. Again, was this not, I can hear that wire on here, right? Water pump feels good. Oil pump feels good. Possibility that this, I don't know if you guys can see or not. Possibility that maybe this isn't riding right. Because it shouldn't ride. Okay, there's that. Maybe, interesting. Interesting, but I want to feel this. This feels good here. Let's get the oil air separator back off. There's that. That's back on the, that's pushed all the way in. That's all the way in. Water pumps in. All that is good. I'm going to take a look down in here. I can't do it with you guys mounted to my chest. I'm going to take a look down in here, look around a little bit, clean up. Again, from opening this up, you will get a little bit of residual coolant down in there because it does drain out from up here. Trying to see if you guys can see what I'm pointing at here. But all that looks nice and smooth. No big deal there. Wonder why we are getting coolant into the, it has to be running down. I don't know. I'll double check what's going on and let you guys know what I find out. All right, guys, so worst case scenario happened. It is leaking between the crankcase halves. There's nothing I can do. I have to pull this thing back apart. So crankcase got to come apart, and I said it before that the crankcase halves are a little funky as far as somebody getting in there with a wire brush or a gasket eraser and just beating those things up, rounding them out. So I'm going to pull this motor back out of this thing. All that radiator fluid, coolant, I put in my reservoir on top of the radiator. I came in and let it sit over the weekend. It had drained down, and now I see all that coolant in the crankcase. And again, it was leaking from the crankcase into the oil filter housing, and the only way that's going to happen is if it's leaking at the crankcase halves. It's not coming from the top down. It's coming, well, basically it's coming from the top through the cylinder into the crankcase, and then bleeding from the crankcase down into the oil passage for the oil pump, and that's on that cylinder. So I'm probably going to say stop this video here, and then I will finally show you guys pulling out the motor of this thing full shebang. I'm not going to edit it. I'm going to just show you what I do, how to do it. You guys saw the install. It's just a reverse. Again, be smart next time, and I'll put the front drive shaft in before I put the motor down. So if this video ran long, I'm cutting it here, and then we'll start the next video on me pulling out the motor in this Bennche Spire, big muddy Heisman Strike, whatever. It's a 13 model. So let's jump into that. I'm going to probably cut this here, and we'll start the next video on with pulling the motor back out completely. Guys, again, I appreciate everyone who has subbed, who leaves comments, and all that good stuff. You know, thumbs up, thumbs down, drop comments, whatever may work for you. Good ones, bad ones, whatever floats your boat, like I always say. So yeah, this video is probably going to come out Friday, which is, let's see, I got to leave this Sunday, which is the 30th. I got to go to Texas on the 31st for a tire test, and Alabama for the first race. So that would be what Friday would be 28th, which is today's Tuesday. So the 28th, this will be out on this Friday, so you guys can see it. So again, if you need to get a hold of me, drop comments. Find me on Facebook at Limitless Power Sports Service and Repair. You can email me at limitlesspowersports78@gmail.com. I would say TikTok, but somebody hacked my TikTok and changed my phone number, my email, the picture, the profile picture, and the name. So the 6,000 followers I had there, now I can't do anything with my TikTok. I contacted them and said, hey, what do I do from here? And it's kind of like, you know, silence. So I don't know what kind of benefit this person is going to get out of it. I wasn't monetized on TikTok. I'm only monetized here on YouTube. Again, guys, I appreciate everyone's subbed. And again, yeah, I have no idea. So I'm going to cut it here. Thanks, guys, and I'll catch you on my next upload.